Good morning, and thank you for tuning in to check up on my reading habit. Out of control reading habit, you could also call it, I would say. So today I've got a different one. I've been really binging on the classic science fiction in general, and a little bit of fantasy. But the book that I've just finished is actually Hide My Eyes by Margery Allingham. A classic old murder mystery, and just want to say a couple of words about Margery Allingham. I don't think an awful lot of people really know her name anymore, which is disturbing because in what Wikipedia tells me is the golden age of detective fiction in England, Allingham was considered one of its 4 queens of crime. So there was Agatha Christie, and everyone still has heard of Agatha Christie, and Naomi Marsh. Naomi Marsh, I haven't heard a lot about her recently, but my parents had a lot of her books. Dorothy L. Sayers. Not sure I remember any of those. And then you had our Margery Louise Allingham. So she died in 1966, before I was born. She came from a writing family and she wrote a lot. Apparently, early on in her career, she created this one character called Campion. And Albert Campion? Alfred Campion. Something Campion. Anyway, she created this character. She did a lot of short stories with him and started writing novels. The novels with this main character were very well received, both England and in America, where the novels, I believe, were given different names. I can't remember what Hide My Eyes was called in America, but it had different names. And he was a bit of a detective, a bit of an adventurer. Early on, there was a lot of crime and mystery stuff. Later on, he started collaborating with the police. So he became her signature character for a long time, and in Hide My Eyes, Campion makes an appearance. Now, a little bit about this book. So this book would have belonged to my parents. It's in foul condition. It's got stamps and things all over it. You can see back in the day, someone added little sticky tape to the corners and to the edge to protect it. Now, recently on YouTube, I have discovered a channel run by Jules. Jules is a collector of some decades worth of standing, and one of the things that he collects is books. He collects the old penguins and a whole heap of really old Pan books and all of those. And watching his channel has been really interesting. It's like rediscovering my parents' bookshelves when I was a teenager, because a lot of the books he describes, I had, or I have read. And I've learned so much from that channel. One of the things that I've learned is that before ISBN came out, Penguin did this thing. Down there on the lower spine, which you can still see because a previous owner, not me, put a little bit of sticky tape around it to preserve it. You can see the penguin, and you can see, well, you probably can't see, there's a number. I don't know how the camera focused on that, but the number is 1476. And the book's old, and it's kind of fascinating. On one hand, it's got Penguin Books Limited, Middlesex in England. Then it's got Australia Penguin Books, Whitehorse Road in Mitcham, Victoria. Then it's got a first published. Then it's got the copyright, 58. I think this one was probably published in 61, I'm not sure. And it was made and printed in the Netherlands. So this is one multicultural book. And in addition to that, it's a well-travelled one. So it is currently living on the border of Queensland, New South Wales and Australia, but internal evidence suggests that it's lived in at least 2 other countries, and it's probably travelled overseas 2 or 3 times, like many of my parents' books. Hide My Eyes is one of the ones in better condition, which is one of the reasons I read it. It's hard to read a book that... I think the one I really wanted to reread was Nicholas Freeling's Because of the Cats. That's a great favourite of mine, but it has lost its cover and its final page is a precious resource. I thoroughly enjoyed Hide My Eyes. Thank you to Jules for reminding me of my penguin collection. I might have to delve into them more deeply in the future and reread some of them, because some of them are cracking books. So this is a crime, and but it isn't it doesn't focus so much on the murders. The murders are just there to be a course of action. It focuses more on the setting up of scenes, the individual characters, the events. Her descriptive power was amazing, and it is often very humorous. So what you can get with some older crime books is they're deadly serious about things. Not Allingham. Allingham has got a sense of humour and a sense of irony, and it creeps into the events, but also into the writing, making them light-hearted and delightful to read. So Albert Campion, her main character, is in fact in this one, but he isn't a central character. I think this book was number 15 or 17 in her Campion journey. I think there are a couple of short story collections as well, but this was a later novel. And as she progressed, instead of giving as much time to developing his character, as many authors do in series, she just presents him. And you can tell from the internal writing that he's a bit of a legend in his own lunchbox, because other people talk about him as like, wow, I've never met him before, but he's exactly what I expected, sort of thing. He's an understated character, heavily involved in the discovery of the crime scenes, in the linear progression of the crime. But this is really about the beauty of description and characterization while the crime progresses to its natural conclusion, as it were. And it starts with an old country bus parked next to a theatre in London, and then a murder occurs. This story is all about the journey. It's like, you don't need to discover who the criminal was. The book tells you. It's all about the police and all the other ducks all getting in line, and then finally everything falling into place. And so the falling into place at the end isn't a great revelation in the library. Rather, it's a patting into shape, a more almost sculptural structure. It's wonderful. Can I find... I'm going to read a little bit here and there. The car fitted the man perfectly. It was a Lagonda, elderly, but so tuned and titivated that only the gallantry of its basic lines remained to preserve that offhand elegance which had been its original glory. And I think that's the make or break. Come on. No? Yes? I think that's the make or break of a reader's enjoyment of these books. You're either going to love that lush language that isn't really the language that we use anymore, or you're not. It doesn't have many of the bangs, bashes, and explosions that most would have. It's got beautiful writing and great characterization, and I enjoyed it thoroughly. What else to say about it? This is one of a few Margery Allinghams that I've still got. Like I said, it's the one best condition. But I've still got The Tiger in the Smoke somewhere, I think. That one was a great book. I think was even nominated or won an award. And hence it is in worse condition than this because it's been read more. More Work for the Undertaker. I think I've got that one as well. Must read more. So mysteries from the 40s and 50s. Quite amazing. And thank you for watching. And the next video is going to be a bit atypical as well. I'm going to do it later today and post it the day after, I think. Okay. Thanks for watching. Read good books of all flavours, shapes and forms. And thank you to Jules for reminding me about my penguin collection.